Vaheguru, 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 Vaheguru.
All right, a couple of discussion points then. You love these, yeah? Okay, so here's a question, right? Just to remind you, Bahadur Shah refused to give justice, even though Guru Gobind Singh Ji helped him get his kingdom, right? So Guru Gobind Singh decided that we're going to take justice ourselves. We're not going to, if you don't give it, we're going to take it, deliver it. And Banda Singh Bahadur is sent off to deliver justice. So what parallels can we draw from that to today? Because I draw some, but I'm wondering what you guys can think. How does that relate to us today? Go on. The mic's not on you, so. What do you think? How does that relate to what's happening to us today?
It's in the way that we keep asking for justice from the Indian government for 84.
Yeah.
So we're not like taking it in our own hands.
Also, who helped? Do you want the mic? No. But do you want? So it's fair. Okay, we have a parallel to the Indian government and what they did to us. But did we help them?
Yeah.
Didn't we help them take India?
Yeah.
Who got independence? How much sacrifice? It's the same thing we talk about nowadays, isn't it? We did the sacrifices to get you independence, and you turned around on us and gave us nothing back. Because the whole agreement we'd do later on was that we would get some land as our own, but it was taken away from us. But then, what did they do in those days? They did exactly what the Guru always said: if you don't give justice, we will take justice, but justice will be ours. Right? What's happened to us now? People don't see anything wrong with holding up a banner saying Sikhs want justice. Has anybody ever held up a banner saying Sikhs want langar? Have you ever held up a banner that says Sikhs want langar? If we want langar, what do we do? Cook it and serve it, yeah? So we got deg and then deg. Got deg. If we want deg, we cook deg. Yeah? If we want deg, what do? Go and get it, right? We got digs on our sides. There. We got dig, yeah? So here we got a dig, but what are we doing about it? Asking people for justice. And they put their names at the bottom of these things with such pride. The banner, I saw it up when I was in the march on Sunday, and it's embarrassing. Sikhs want justice. And no one even sees like that. Sounds a bit strange. Sikhs never say Sikhs want langar. So why do they want justice? We should be looking at it in that way. Okay? Wanting, the word want actually means you don't have something. Yeah? You know that, right? The grammatical source of that word means you don't have something, so therefore there is a want for that. Yeah? So basically it means that you don't have something. You're disempowering yourself. The minute you say, I want justice, means you don't have it. So what our nara might be, Sikhs give justice. And if we kept saying Sikhs give justice, like we say Sikhs give langar, Sikhs feed langar, then you might think, well, you better start doing something about it. Yeah? So it's mentally, maybe we didn't come up with these banners. Maybe somebody else said, yeah, that's a good banner. You have that.
It's the same as proud to be Sikh t-shirts.
Proud to be Sikh, yeah.
Questions it, they just
Yeah.
what happened.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll have a proud to be Sikh t-shirt. And if you say, if you point out to them the hypocrisy of saying Sikhs proud to be Sikh, they'll say, oh, but I'm still proud to be Sikh. I'm not proud. I haven't got pride, but I'm still proud to be a Sikh. I don't mean that it doesn't mean that you don't say I'm happy to be a Sikh. You can be happy and grateful to be a Sikh, but it's the same as that video I put up from that American guy who was saying, what do you mean proud to be American? What does that mean? Or proud to be a British? If you've done something, you can be proud of it.
Achievement.
Yeah, achievement. But how can you be proud of something you never did? It was given to you. Okay, so that's for me the main parallel of that time is that Sikhs are very quick to just sort out themselves and deliver justice. Even if it was some, bungled up affair, right? They still tried. They didn't just sit back and wait for it to be perfect. A lot of the times people think, oh, it's got to be perfect. And we talked about this the other day, and I was like, you know what? Who do we respect in the last 20 years? Okay, Bhai Balwant Singh Rajwana, respect. He done something. Did he have a big group behind him? Did he have a big mata? He had maybe a few people with him, but they just did it, didn't they? Yeah, Sukha Singh and Sukha and Jinda, they just done it as well. Shaheeds. Okay, so they just got up and just did it. So it's never been the case that people need to have a. You know what people say nowadays? Here's what they say: if we just got together and made a plan, we should just do it. What they mean is somebody else should come together and make a plan. Somebody else should just nominate someone else to go and do it, and that'd be good. Thanks. They never mean like let's just forget it. Forget everybody else. Some of us make a plan and let's go and do it. So the idea of being empowered by Guru Sahib has gone out the window. Yeah? And just a simple example of that is people saying to me, who are you to speak on behalf of the Sikhs? When I was talking about the Woolwich attack. Yeah? Little video I made, who are you? You can talk about Sikhi all you want. When you start talking about political affair, yeah, as a Sikh, who are you to talk on behalf of the Sikhs? The simple answer, that's the same one that all of you should be giving if you're asked, who are you to be doing this? Is this. I'm a Sikh. I'm working for my dad. Who do I need to tell me I need to do something for my dad? I see something in my house that needs to be done, I'll go and do it. As long as I'm within Gurmat, then I'm empowered by my Guru to act. Simple. It's our house. Kare kuch pya hega, dirt on the floor, yeah? And if you point it out to your mom, just try it, go home and say, Mom, there's some water falling down in the kitchen, on the floor. You imagine what you're going to get told by your mother. If you say, Mom, the floor's dirty in the kitchen. She's going to say, pick up the hoover and hoover it up, innit? Or clean it up. What do you expect? That's exactly what your father's going to say to you as well. He doesn't want us to sit and point out the problems in the pant. Yeah? What he wants is, right, I see a problem in the pant. I'm going to sort it out and do my bit.
Ask permission sometimes, or ask guidance sometimes.
You can take guidance, but you can't wait around for like a big Pantik Mata 6 months.
Or something like, what do you say about
Exactly. Take a hukamnama and just get on with it. Yeah? Simples. Here's next one. So Banda Singh Bahadur, okay, he ended up being away from the Panj Pyare system, right? Because he gave them all different leaderships. And what happens next is that there is no effective leadership at the top. They overextend themselves, and he was unsuccessful, effectively. His Raj lasted a very little bit of time. But Nawab Kapoor Singh kept the Panj Pyare system the whole time. Yeah? And it kept the Panth in Chardi Kala. Even though times were really tough, the Panth stayed together. Okay? So what can we learn about this? From this example?
Stick to the Guru's ways.
Stick to the Guru system.
Perfect way he's made it.
He's made it perfectly, so we should stick to it. Where are the Panj Pyare now? All over the place, yeah? Right? Killer Gay, right? Same thing that he did, Banda Singh Bahadur did. But you know what? Guess what Ranjit Singh did? He stopped the Sarbat Khalsa meeting as well. 1801 onwards, Sarbat Khalsa meetings that used to happen twice a year, they were taken out. He said, why do you need to have a Sarbat Khalsa meeting when we've got Sarkar-e Khalsa? We run the kingdom, why do we need to have a meeting twice a year at Akal Takht? I'm the king. So then, what happens next with his kingdom? It falls as well. Yeah? So that's what we're doing. We're just walking away from our Guru system. Right? Alright then, let's have a little test. Now, who are the two types of Mughal forces? Somebody put your hand up, please. Yeah, and then we'll do it. Hanji. Star student. Go on.
The two different types of Mughals that were explained is one that became a bit more Indian-fied, staying in India, and the other ones came from Afghanistan and Persian that were a bit more fanatical Muslims, and they had their own views. Those are the two different types of Mughals.
I wouldn't classify either of them as fanatical or not. One lot were looting the other lot. One lot had already looted India and established themselves there. Other guys were coming from up north.
Apparently that entire concept is very anti-Islamic as well. Or Muslims fighting other Muslims.
Yeah.
Something that is not permitted in Islam.
Yeah.
So that shows how religious they really were.
No, it was just about exactly. So it's about land. It's about land and power and wealth and money. That's all it was. Okay. Well, the Sikhs shouldn't be fighting Sikhs. But guess what was happening before Ranjit Singh came into charge? Sikhs are fighting Sikhs, weren't they? Okay, so was our war with Islam then?
No.
Okay. Because Bulleh Shah, by the way, was Muslim, wasn't he? right? And were the Hindus at the side of Islam then? Because we were being killed by Hindus and Muslims. So they weren't really, are they? So what was the war then?
Against tyranny, injustice.
So and who was trying to who was trying to impose injustice? Like who? So if we're fighting justice, who are we fighting?
At what point?
We're fighting people who want power, don't they? Yeah, people, oppressors. Yeah, and the people that were on our side were the common person, yeah, the man on the ground, the common. So we are the army of the common man. Now, what can we learn from that here in the UK? If that's always been our mission, right, to fight for the common person's rights and not for the ruling classes, what can we learn from that now? Because this is our history, yeah? What are we going to think about that now?
We're socialists, really, aren't we?
Okay, so we're socialists, yeah? Right, fair enough. That's why a lot of Sikhs became communists, yeah? In the 20s, they forgot God, became communists instead, right? But those things in those times, they were very religious, yeah? Their strength came from power. But in today's world, I'm trying to bring the parallels, like who should we stand for now then? What should be our plan? Oh, I'll tell you what, because you guys all sit looking at me like, go on.
There's different issues. That's what I was a bit. When you said what is our plan, I was thinking in my mind, which issue am I going to address first?
Okay, loads of issues, yeah?
Not about justice for ourselves to start off with.
So you say the best way is to start off by getting justice for ourselves.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a fair point.
Political recognition.
Political recognition. But what the funniest thing is, right? But all these things you're talking about, they're not actually solving the problems of the common people in this country. So what we should be trying to do is what the Sikhs did back then, is just to solve the problems of the common person on the ground, and they won widespread ground roots approval, yeah? Widespread ground roots approval for the Sikhs. And in a democracy, if you have widespread ground roots support, and every single person has a vote, educated person's vote is the same as an uneducated person's vote. If the people of the country support you, what will happen when you stand for election? Yeah, when you stand for election, they'll vote for you and you win. Yeah? So that's all we got to do if you're going to set up Khasa Raj here. Same thing they did back then. So win approval of the people. So start serving the poorest of the poor. The people that have problems. Yeah? We should be the goodies, as that girl said in one of the videos. Because at the beginning she goes, you are the goodies, right? And I was like, yeah, but there's more to it than that. So I talked her through it and she goes, see, I told you were the goodies. And I was like, yeah, okay, fair enough, we are the goodies, but yeah, the philosophy is a bit more than that. Yeah, you didn't see the beginning. That's when she started off by saying, you're the goodies. That's all she knew. You're the goodies. I just put out the prachar from Sunday. We did a bit of prachar on the street, and one of the girls was like, "Oh, you're the goodies." That's all she knew about the Sikhs. Yeah. So we talked about, and at the end of it, she said, "Yeah, you are the goodies. See, you proved me right." So, effectively, if we're gonna do anything for our Panth, really, our first step has to, if to be here, our first step here should be to work for policies that are going to benefit the common person, taking power away from the people that control power, right, and giving it to the common person. Okay. So basically, it's what we say in Ardas, Guru Gobind Singh, yeah, Nitanya ke Taan, the strength of those that have no strength, Ne Otya ke Ot, the support of those that have no support, Ne Asar de Asar, the shelter of those that have no shelter, yeah, Ne Gatya ke Gat, yeah, the honor of those that have no honor, effectively. That's our job, isn't it? So Benji, actually what you're talking about then makes a lot of sense. Get justice for ourselves, right? But to be honest, in this country we need to start thinking about in that way, supporting.
We actually need to, like you said previously, we need to sort our own life out before we start helping others.
Yeah, true. Exactly.
And then we can gain the credibility and, do what you were saying.
But it's funny because you kind of need two things that happen at the same time. People need to be woken up from their slumber, and they don't wake up from their slumber by you turning up and saying, let's sort our own problems out. actually just sorting some problems out makes other people feel like they should sort it out as well. Yeah, you don't necessarily need to be doing stuff that is sorting out every single problem first until you ticked off a checklist. You kind of need to get the ball rolling somewhere, and hopefully copycat movements will start. Yeah.
I'll make more reference to that. We all need a bit more awakening.
Yeah. Yeah. Awakening. Yeah. Go on.
I like what Benji said. I'll take it one step back. You should start from yourself.
Yeah.
And you should, I think everything you should start jumping now anyway.
Yeah.
Go Simran. You know, use that as a foundation, but as your proper platform.
Yep.
Namjapur, Simran Karo. And holy make that change within yourself. So you do the karmic actions, you do the good things in the world, and slowly your sangha will say, I want to do that. And then holy, then you know, good kirpa, numbers will start increasing. Then you start making changes. But it has to start from sort yourself out first, because there's no point you sorting someone else out and then you're, listen, don't do that, then you're hypocrite, you do yourself. Start from yourself, be as good as you can.
Yeah.
So rather than places yourself, I'm taking it, start from yourself inside you.
Yeah.
Do the good things, then holy, that will spread out. And if you use Nam as your foundation stone, then you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong. And it's written, that's it, you can't go wrong. If you start from Nam as foundation, you cannot go wrong.
Yeah.
If you're going wrong, you're not doing Nam properly. That's why I think
Organise also as a community. That's the way to go forward. If you do things in numbers, other communities look at us and as an example. And that's how you get recognition. And I think that perhaps that needs to be looked at.
What this is a multi-pronged approach, yeah? What we need is not just like, oh, just do this. We start from ourselves, but at a community level, we need to start working as a community around Naam as well. And Naam for us is not some just spiritual only. Yeah, because for us, when we say Dharam is the first step, you know. So doing righteousness and justice is part of Naam. Because Maharaj says that Sant ka marg, Dharam ki paudi. The road of the saints, the first step is Dharam, righteousness. Yeah. So you can't it makes sense, right? You can't be a mean, evil person and still get rewarded with spiritual progress. You see what I mean? So you have to start, so it needs to have Seva and Simran together. And the more Seva you do, the stronger your Simran will be. Yeah, because remember, you could say 100 Vahegrus, right? But you might not get Kirpa. But you spend all day doing Seva, you sit down and you said 5 Vahegrus, and you get some massive Kirpa because you just done all that Seva and you benefited from it spiritually. Your heart is being cleaned out. Okay? So it's not the case that it's about the quantity, it's about quality. But that's why you need both things, right?
it's always nice balancing.
Yeah.
That's why they
Yeah. Yeah, you got to do both. But at a community level then, how should we be organized then? What should we be doing in this country?
Well, again, just start simple. Just a group of us, clean the Gurdwara, holy, spread the community. Spread secure. No, just clean the streets. And then
Well, maybe the Gurdwara is already being sorted out.
let's clean the street, let's clean Saffron.
Yeah. What do we clean though? Do we clean the streets of the rubbish on the streets, or do we clean it off other things of the street? Yeah.
You know, I was just thinking, this is really good what's being said, and it's actually happening now. I do a lot of that, think in the moment, and you started something of this course. Now we've got it together, now we've got to know each other, and our bonds are becoming stronger. And together we could do something a lot more powerful than one or two people could.
Yeah.
So all these ideas, we could organise it by emails or whatever it is to do something, and the movement's already started.
Mm-hmm.
I've already thought of that already as well. Let's do it. Everybody's here, but rather than giving all the talk, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's all get together one day. Let's all sit. Let's do something. And then, after that, let's do setup. Yeah, why not? There's enough of us. So what's the excuses? Make excuses all day long. No one's going to do anything.
Yeah.
So I'll say that now. Let's all get together one day. Go with Gurdwara. Do 10 minutes Nam Simran. Go outside. Clean the Gurdwara. Do loads of these setup.
But you got to remember, it's not always the case that there's going to be 40 people here that all want to do the same thing. There might be you might need just 5 people to do one thing, 5 people to do something else. So don't get the idea, which I've said to you before as well, from unity does not mean uniformity. Yeah. So being united around doing something doesn't mean that everybody has to do the same thing. Yeah.
It's like just one quick point. Sorry, buddy. It's my mum raised an interesting point, and I don't know how many women here can contribute, but there's a lot of Sikh women in the Asian community that suffer a lot of violence by in-laws and so on, and they just want somewhere where they can go and open their heart and talk to other women about things. And that's something that is not as obvious as going and cleaning Gurdwara and stuff, but it's something that's required and needed. And maybe we can attack little things like this.
The thing is, you've got to be very careful when you do those sort of things. You need proper training in counselling experience and that sort of thing.
Well, somebody came up to me about the same thing. Somebody in Leicester came up to me and asked the same question. They said, look, we know that those women that here need help, and I don't think, if I do the counselling, I think people are going to say that she's the one who's breaking up families or something like this, you know. So what she did, she said, look, I'll pay for a counsellor. So you've got somebody who's not her, but who's doing the counselling. She's organising the counselling, and this lady just does it. So it's not on her shoulders, you know. But it's about thinking about it strategically, like what's best, but doing something at least, you know.
I think everybody's got different strengths and weaknesses, and getting involved in things like Amnesty International, raising our profile. There is so much out there that you can do.
Go on.
This is the beauty. So many people in a room, so many different opinions, thoughts. So rather than, like you said, unity doesn't mean uniformity. So if you get 10 people, 10 different ideas, you know, 3 people might have the same idea. So let's say us 10 here, 3 of us think let's do Langa Seva, 3 Langa Seva. Then someone else says, okay, let's look after women in the community. Let's look after, you know, different pockets of. So you have to do the same thing, but the more people you get in your group, the more you can delegate and, you know, spread out that responsibility. So you're not doing one thing, but the more people you have, 2 hands are better than one, really, isn't it?
It comes back to the Misl system, innit? You've got a Misl system, every Misl is doing something else, yeah? Some guys are Shaheed Misl, some people are the artillery. Go on.
So one thing I suggest is following from the Amnesty International suggestion is, there are people out there doing Seva, non-Sikhs. So there's so many charities. There's Amnesty, Barnardos, Samaritans, homeless charities. The simple thing is, next Christmas, sign up, go work in a shelter. You've got a week off, 5 event together, that's all we organise for you. All you do is just turn up, serve food, and that's it. It's a big thing to start something new, but there's loads of little snowballs already rolling. Just go enjoy other people. Learn from what other people are doing, and then come back and do it.
And the beauty is, a lot of things are already set up anyway, so you can just join them.
So
and they're all local as well, so you don't have to go all the way across, like somewhere far. They're a lot more close than you think as well.
No, but I found that when I'm another Keith, I've gone up to SOPW, I've emailed Seek Helpline, and I've said, I want to do some sort of survey, you established organisations, I like what you do, you know, this, that, and you never get no reply. So
I'm not sure that's true. I've seen a lot of, maybe some people are not very good at admin. I know that our organisation suffer from that, and I'm one of those people, you know, admin is not one of my strengths. There's loads of people emailing me here, there and everywhere, and things will slip, you know, because people say it to me all the time, I'll come and do some seva. But who's going to come to my house with their Mac and start editing videos? That's the problem, isn't it? And I know that I've got to train that person, I've got to get them a Mac, all that kind of stuff. So actually, sometimes your offer of seva might not be like what they can do. What can they do with it right now? You know, see what I mean?
Saying this with all these great ideas, are we still sticking in the objective of getting some recognition as Sikh fund? If we went to the other organisations that were non-Sikh.
Well, why is that our objective, to get recognised?
That's the question.
Just do the seva. You got a bug in your head.
You have to get recognised for them to appreciate what you're doing and to get people behind you.
But that'll happen anyway, because they.
I just want to go back to what you there, and you were just saying that, you know, when you focus on these charities, he doesn't get around to that. So I work for TWGC, and I just, you know, wanted to do the finance side of it. So, you know, I just went ahead and just kind of just said, show my interest, and now I'm kind of taking over that. So, you know, you've just got to go there and just, you know, the more than happy to take you, you've just got to like kind of take your responsibility. Talk to them in person.
You've got to be proactive about helping somebody. You can't, if you just turn up and say, tell me what to do, that's like a mission for them to think about something. Like, it's really, I mean, it's just honestly, from my point of view, somebody comes to me and says, give me something to do, I have to like, think I've got 100 things to do, which one should I give it to this guy, which one do I trust this person with? If they turn up and say, you know what, I can do this, do you want me to do this? And I'll be like, yeah, go on then, do it. You know, because it's like you're giving something which is like, yeah, I want to do this, okay, go for it. I've got a guy in Chicago, every program in Chicago, he takes out leaflets, he downloads his MP3s himself, makes CDs, gives them out. All he does is keep asking me, and he's built up like over the last year. He just tells me, "Do you want me to give this out?" I'm like, "Yeah, go for it." Yeah, go for it. There's very little for me to do, apart from just give him an idea, and he'll just get on with it, you know. And I can trust him. So it's about building up trust with the organization as well. So it's not just a case of just saying, "Oh, they never." I asked them, they never helped me. Sorry, I'm being a bit dismissive of what you said, but it is the case that people are very busy. Having to think about giving somebody something is actually more of a hassle than just getting on with it yourself, because then they got to monitor you. You see what I mean? They don't know you. You could be the most incompetent person ever, and they probably have met people who are very incompetent, right? And they're burnt many times about that, so they can't be bothered to give it out to anybody else. They'll say, let's leave it. It better not get done. And we waste more time trying to help it get done from this person than get disheartened at the end of it. Go on, Benji.
Alright, I just wanted to say, if anyone wants to join us, yesterday a couple of us went to central London to help out with this church, to help feed the homeless around central London. They were one of the charities that got back to us. Quite a few, like Baji was saying, they don't get back to you. But every Monday from about 6, 7 o'clock, if anyone wants to come, just to start off with that, just,
I wanted to add, it's just going back to a point before when I asked the question about recognition of Sikhs. In my life, sometimes I've worked in some remote places where you don't see brown skins, so you get Sikh people. And kadi out of the blue, people have come up to me and they said, one Sikh person done something good for me once, you're a good guy. And I thought, that seva that one person done, I probably was thinking about stabbing this guy or something, but he just saw that image and related it to me. And I think sometimes, if you do something good for somebody, it's very easy now. We're sitting in a community. But when you're in Germany, Freiburg, and everyone's looking at you thinking, was it Brian guy with the pug one that, yeah? It's very different ball game. And you think, what did my Guru say? My Guru say, in kuch food there, yeah? You just do it, forget about it. And that person sometimes thinks, that's a Sikh guy, he's done something good. And it's a ripple effect as well. So you do things like knowing that you're doing it, these impressions that you give.
Do you know the story of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, Ujjar and Vastero? They went to a village, and in that village, the people of that village were quite stingy, and they were fed up of saints kind of thing. So they just really were very mean. They just didn't really put Maharaj up anywhere nice. They didn't really look after him or anything. And even though he was giving the Upadesh, they weren't very interested. They were just money minded. So as Maharaj left, he said to them, Vastero, bless you. To see, just Vastero means it's a blessing, because that means that you will continue being successful, your house will continue staying there, you will keep on staying in this town, and you'll be prosper in this town. Vastero. And they went to another town, and the people there were really welcoming, the pin. They said, look, Maharaj Bhataya, looked after them, listened to their Upadesh with so much love. And Maharaj, as they left, they blessed the town and said, Ujjar Jao. Ujjar Jao means, may you be totally uprooted. Yeah, uprooted basically. And Bhai Mardana says to Guru Nanak Dev Ji, Maharaj, what's this? These guys looked after us, and you said, Ujjar Jao, let your home be destroyed, let you spread out everywhere. And the other people were very nice to you, and you said to them, be prosper. Maharaj says, well, those prosperous people, they'll keep their meanness to themselves. They'll continue being mean to each other. And that's almost like a shrap. It's like a curse, because they're never going to have happiness amongst themselves. But the people that were good, if they spread out, they'll spread that goodness everywhere. Yeah? And that needs to spread. And that makes me think sometimes, why are we Sikhs spread out all over the world? If you look at what happened in Punjab, the minute we got land, we started fighting amongst ourselves. Yeah? And it continued until the British took us over. Yeah? And then again, same thing happened. We kept looking for Punjab again, back from the British. Yeah? And now we're all over the world. Right? And even now, our focus seems to be to get Punjab back. We seem to be totally not listening to the 3 times this happened to us, yeah? It's not good for us to have a little bit of land. Yeah? You need to spread out. Think big. Go on.
Just got a question about today's lesson. Something I wanted to ask you, just waiting for the right time. During this entire period that we're talking about, after Guru Gobind Singh Maharaj, after Maharaj Ranjit Singh, yeah? What happened to Mata Sahib Kaur?
Mata Sahib Kaur passed away. Just normal, natural causes. She was...
Did she give any contribution after the Guruji had gone?
Yeah. Mata Sahib Kaur remains kind of one of the main people who... Mata Jito Ji and Mata Sahib Kaur, who are the two, I think... all 3 wives were still important, but Mata Sahib Deva, there's a lot of Hukamname in her name. So you can find a book called Puratan Hukamname. Rehatname is like a guru giving you the hukam on how to live. But Hukamnama is more like an order. And Mata Sahib Devan was still, she was still the mother of the Khalsa. So she was still giving Hukamnamas in the Guru's name. Yeah? And she was saying, okay, Bhai Mani Singh, for example, when he compiled Dasam Granth Sahib Ji, he writes to Mataji to let her know how he is, how things are going. Yeah, so she's still very much. So I totally should have focused upon that part as well. I'll put it in for the next guys. So yeah, Mata Sahib Kaur was still involved with the Panth, and yeah, until she passed away. No, she was like, yeah, she'd be one of the many leaders of the Panth. Yeah, like Banda Singh Bahadur was doing his bit, Mata Sahib Devan was doing, Mata Sahib Kaur was doing her bit, Bhai Mani Singh was doing his bit. Yeah.
Do we know, like, we know what Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj felt when he learned about his sons? You know? Do we know what Mata Sahib Kaur or anything, any bachche or anything she said?
So Mata Sahib Kaur didn't have any physical children, did she?
No. Oh, she did.
The Khalsa were her children.
Sorry.
So we don't know about that. But she did have an adopted son. She had one child that she felt was like more, you know, so she basically adopted him as her actual son. So he's kind of sometimes called the son of Mata Sahib Kaur, but he was with her at some point. Go on.
I was just saying, like, you know how you should do like a topic that's focused on the women in Sikhi, or just like
the famous women.
Famous women.
There's a couple of websites about that already. I should maybe do a video on it, but I just felt like, you know, I just did a video on women's liberation, because sometimes it's weird to be telling women about famous women. Like, I think maybe women should be telling women about famous women. I mean, if you follow courageous and stuff, it can be a bit patronizing, you know? Like, as a man to be empowering women. It seems sometimes a little bit patronizing. Yeah? This seems to me like, I don't think women should be better off empowering women. You know, because I just... Sorry?
I'm quite happy to be empowered. You know, being independent.
The women should do like we call last week, all the women.
Yeah, no, I mean, but you should just, I mean, there's websites like Courageous, for example. They do loads of stuff always on Twitter, and they're always telling inspirational Sikh stories and inspire a sister, that kind of stuff. So there are people that are doing stuff. I just think that, you know, I just find it a bit strange. Like, you know, it's almost disempowering someone to tell them that they're empowered. Yeah, if women stand up and say that we're empowered, then that's more powerful than a man standing up and saying it. So I just think, you know, let's wait for the women to stand up. Yeah. And we're there to support you, but I'm not gonna. I think it's a bit strange for me to say, "Be empowered." You know.
Not be empowered, but just give them the education, like.
Famous Sikh women, I like her. Yeah, we just talked about Mai Pago. She became a general. She lived on from what happened in the Charlie Mukte, and she became one of the famous generals. At one point, she was the bodyguard of Guru Gobind Singh Ji. So the Khas Hazuri Sikhs. She's one of them, and her job was basically defense of Guruji. So she's, you know, obviously famous. The three wives were all quite instrumental to the Sikhs. Go on.
When I was looking at women in Sikhi, a lot of people know about the famous women, and we hear them again and again. In this one story about Jamkaur Sahib's battle, after everybody had passed away, there's a mention of a girl called Satnam Kaur that I saw about 15, 16 years old. And she went on the battlefield at Amritwala, collected the bodies of her brothers and cremated them. And her sacrifice, well, just as a normal person, not like Mata Sahib Kaur or like somebody well renowned, but just as a sister, looking at her Shaheed brothers, collecting them, saying her part before the enemy had seen this big fire in the distance. Said, what's going on there? Saw this girl, she got to the Kirtan soil apparently in the story, and they threw her on the fire as well. And that touches you, thinking like just a normal Sikh girl. Now look at what she done. And sometimes you get women like that as well. And I was thinking yesterday, all these men going to war, they had mothers, sisters, Babia and stuff. How did they feel? How did they cope with all this stuff?
Oh, sorry, I forgot to put that. I got to put that in. That's a good point. Make sure there are two things. One about Mata Sahib Kaur. Mir Manu's jails. Remember all the women that were put? I forgot to put that in. That happened that time. Mir Manu imprisoned loads of people in, you know. And they were made, and the babies were chopped up into pieces and put around their neck. So when they were killing Sikhs, they weren't just killing men, they were killing children, women, the whole lot. The price of every male Sikh. But women have been integral since the very beginning. We talked already about the daughter of Guru Amar Das Ji, yeah, the wife of Guru Angad Dev Ji, Guru Bibi Nanaki. You know, from the very beginning, Bibi Nanaki is the first Sikh. You know, so it's never been the case like women used to be preachers as well. Remember, Guru Amar Das Ji appointed, like, you know, of the 52 manjis. So the 52 manjis and the 100 and whatever PD, 52 were women of the PDs. They were preachers. Like, it's very rare you see a woman preaching. Yeah, but obviously when you guys came with us on Sunday, you know, when I was in Prachar, I was doing Prachar, but there were a lot of women handing out leaflets. You know, the benches that came with us. There wasn't like, you know, that's something unique. When we set up the Prachar desk, like regular thing every 2 weeks or whatever, Central London or here or whatever, that will be something unique, because when you go to a Dawah desk, you will never see a woman doing Dawah. It's not their thing. It's always going to be women, you know. So go on. Women are natural. I found organisers, it's like it's in their blood kind of thing. You know, when they see a problem, they're like, right, I'll organise it. You know, that kind of thing. But they don't necessarily want. It's just one of those things where they don't necessarily want to be in the limelight, and that's also because of a cultural thing where, you know, if a woman's seen as, you know, it's a very common thing nowadays. A woman stands up and starts speaking up, then she doesn't just risk people saying, oh, you know, she speaks quietly. Because if a man is at the forefront, then it's all right, he's leading. If a woman's at the front, then she sounds like she's kind of becoming a bit too, you know, masculine. So there's a bit of a problem about that. We have to address that as well. But I think the kind of, but I think it's also like just being open to women becoming part of organizations. You know, if somebody steps up and they want to do seva, by saying, yeah, come on in, no problem. And that's how men can help. But you can't necessarily say, you do the seva. Yeah? You have to say, sort of, look, if you want to do seva, anybody's welcome to do seva. And they step up, Alright. Okay, 9:30, so we have to finish off. So just I'm going to say, look, the last thing here is, remember, the Sikhs fought back straight away. Yeah? The longer you leave justice, right, it's like a wound, yeah? If you leave injustice on you, festering, it spreads like a disease. You have to deal with the problem straight away. Yeah? Otherwise it will get forgotten and it will become part of your psyche. Yeah? And then your psyche, again and again, over years, will become a victim psyche. Yeah? It's been proven that deal with your situation there and then, it will empower you there and then. And the next time it won't happen to you, because you'll act back even faster. But if you let it fester, yeah, it will become like a, you know, gangrene, and it will spread. And that's what's happening to us right now. Yeah? The things that done something, but the rest of those guys that are still around, you know, we're not doing anything about them. So it's like a gangrene upon the punt. You know, it's eating away at us on the inside. And I'll give you one quick example, which you might not have heard. It's from Hindu mythology. Have you heard of Draupadi?
Yeah. Seen on the Channel 4 once.
Yeah. So Draupadi was dishonored, yeah? No, I don't think she was, but she yeah. He tried to, yeah. So when that guy that tried to strip her in that major car, she was her husband. I mean, obviously, kind of is her five. She had 5 brothers as her husbands. Yeah, the Pandavas, right? And they lost her in a gambling match. They lost her. They literally just lost her. They put her down as one of the things, and they lost her. Now, what happens with Draupadi is that the Pandavas, she vows that she will not bathe again, yeah, unless it's with the blood of the guy that tried to dishonor her. Yeah, so that was and because of that vow, yeah, the vow she taken, then it spurred Bhimsa, who was the strongest of the Pandavas, to swear the oath that he would be the one that fulfills that. Yeah, I think I don't remember the name of the guy that they got. Yeah, Duryodhan maybe, I'm not sure. Yeah. So basically and that's the famous story of Indian mythology, that's what happened. So again, like just like my Pago, you know, was like, I'm not gonna stay here and watch you guys come back into our life. We're gonna go back and battle. So this has happened throughout history. When the men stop being men, then the women, you know, they can do a lot more. to spur men on to do something. And that's the example of our past, and also, you know, general Indian past. Yeah. So I think, you know, in many ways, if you can say that, you know, what's happened to our Panth since then is that the women have become very scared of, you know, losing their family members and that kind of stuff, you know. And that's always been the case. That in the past we didn't used to be. Even the children are being chopped up during that period, Mir Manu's jails. The women were not scared to lose their family, yeah, for the sake of the Panth. So obviously if you got the support of someone like that, then you can be, you know, a Singh where you've got family holding you back, then it's harder, because then you have to have like the tanne and the guilt trips at home as well. Yeah. So, but I'll just finish off with that. So following the big Holocaust, Sikhs fought back immediately. What can we learn from that? We can learn that actually letting something fester is not good for us. Alright. So next week, away from history for a bit, we're going to go to Rag Kirtan. Okay, so we got up to 1801. So we know that Ranjit Singh has set up the Raj. The next step is to then we're going to look at Rag Kirtan for a bit, and the week after that we're going to look at how did Ranjit Singh's kingdom work. Okay, so keep history in your head, but we're going to look at Rag Kirtan. How is Guru Granth Sahib Ji divided? You might have seen some of those in the videos we did in Prachar. A lot of people might have known that Guru Granth Sahib Ji divided by music. Yeah, all of you who attended the week on Guru Granth Sahib Ji should know that by now. Right? But what is it? How does it work? What is this? You know, what is Asa versus, you know, Siri Rag, and how does it work? How does the tabla work? So we're going to talk about that next week. Yeah, that should be really interesting. So do try and turn up for that. So next week, Rag Kirtan, I have got recordings from Kirat Singh and his cousin Jot Roop Singh, who are you know, musicians, but they're also interestingly, you know, from a white background. So they're going to be explaining Rag Kirtan, which should be cool. I'll be playing the videos up here. I'll edit them this week, so we can have that. And why do we use it with spirituality? What is Tal? You know, those kind of things. So they'll be discussed. So trying to make sure you come next Tuesday, because this one is going to be quite cool. We're going to do Fateh now, okay? Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.